Google moves to take over all business communication with a single app. The entire world recognizes that social media and e-commerce are a natural combination, and today's hottest PLG unicorns show us how to succeed with a product-led model. That and more on this week's PLG123. Let's dive in. Tab 1. Tab 1 is from The Verge and is about Google's moves to make Gmail and G Suite the single app to rule all business communication. Google's most recent move brings Google Chat, Rooms, and Meet all together for something that looks like email plus Slack plus Zoom, all integrated into your office productivity suite with your calendar and your contacts. It's a natural marriage of all these disparate solutions. And again, they're bringing it all into the Gmail app. And you can see here in this screenshot that you can easily toggle between mail, chat, rooms, and video meetings over Meet. As the Verge article puts it right here, the app isn't so much Gmail anymore as it's a unified app for Google's communication platforms like Gmail, Chat, Rooms, and Meet. So this is clearly going head to head with Microsoft, who's doing all of the same things on the Office 365 platform, but it's also clearly picking a fight or continuing to pick a fight with Zoom on the Meet side of the house and with Slack on the Chat plus Rooms side of the house. So as we've talked about here on the PLG123 before, the platform wars are alive and well, and Google, Microsoft, Slack, Zoom are all in the mix at this point. Tab 2. Tab 2 is from Instagram and is the announcement of their newest product, Instagram Shop. As you might expect from the name, it's a way to shop on Instagram. And quite frankly, is very similar to what we just saw with Facebook Shops coming from the parent company recently. Now, if you've spent more than 1 second on Instagram recently, you know that you see tons of direct-to-consumer brands and other brands that are using Instagram to communicate with their audience as well as to grow their audience through influencers as well as through their own direct channels. And Instagram ads are pretty good at targeting because I want to buy almost everything they show me. Now I can click on one of those ads or I can engage in the organic content from that brand or that feed, and I can link out to a shop where I'm going to purchase something, but it's always a slightly disjointed experience. And Instagram Shop is trying to bring that all together to be a really tight integration. And these brands, especially the younger DTC brands, think about Instagram plus Shopify as really being the two most important pillars, maybe email marketing as well, to run and to grow their brand and their customer base. Shopify says, I'm coming at you too in the social media game, and they just launched a new application called Tailor. At least I think it's called Tailor. Taler, a little bit confusing as to how exactly to pronounce, but let's go with Tailor. Now, this is not an Instagram competitor per se, as much as it's really a Canva competitor. It's described as your social design sandbox. And if you look at some of the screenshots and examples, it looks a lot like what you would see in Canva. So while it's not a direct response to Instagram Shop, it still nonetheless shows the importance of and the integration of social media plus e-commerce. And not to be outdone, we're going to bring Google back into the equation here because they just launched a new standalone application called ShopLoop. Now, ShopLoop is trying to come into this whole thing and create a new social media experience specifically for influencers who are trying to peddle their wares on their social media channel. And you can see from this Google blog post and some of the examples that it's very much tailored towards an initial persona of the beauty category, which is extremely strong on YouTube and on Instagram and drives a lot of affiliate revenue, and many of these influencers launch their own brands. And so ShopLoop's a really interesting way for these influencers, as it's been described in the media, to have their own private home shopping network channel that they're constantly speaking with their audience on. So it's a social media plus e-commerce bonanza. And again, the platform wars are upon us in this category too, and we're going to keep watching it very closely here at the PLG123. And tab 3. Tab 3 is from OpenView and is the best practices for putting product-led growth into real-life action, coming from some of the hottest PLG unicorns in the private markets today. My partner Mackie Craven put this piece together based off of his podcast season a few months back. On that season, he had founders from companies like Postman, Auth0, Clearbit, Calendly, and many others that are PLG unicorns today. And he took those thoughts and distilled them down to say, okay, well, what are the best practices from these leading paragons in the PLG movement, and how can we apply this to new businesses? It boils down to these three pillars you see here: designing for the end user, delivering value before capturing value, and investing in the product with go-to-market intent. Now you can see already there's a lot to dig into here, and it's coming from the best PLG operator and founder minds in the business. So I strongly encourage you to give a read to this article. And if you like what you read, go back and listen to the older episodes of the Build podcast to hear some of these direct conversations that Mackie's having with these awesome founders. So that does it for this week on the PLG123. Make sure to follow me on LinkedIn for more PLG content, and stay tuned for our weekly episode drops of the PLG123 coming at you on LinkedIn weekly. Thanks so much, guys, and hope you're having a great week. Take care.